Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about Stephen King's 2018 release, Elevation. We'll be showing you the points to look for when trying to identify first US and first UK editions of the work, as well as provide some thoughts on the work itself. The first US trade hardcover edition was published, as always, by Scribner and features this really attractive, reflective, wraparound jacket artwork. Very, very nice. Inside the front cover, look for a price of $19.95. The book also features illustrated end papers, which is a nice touch. And on the copyright page, look for the handy-dandy Scribner number line that includes the number 1. Underneath the jacket, the book has blue boards, kind of mimics the quarter cloth binding appearance with blue over the spine. That's the exact same color as the boards, and kind of a coppery foil printing on the spine. One of the most noticeable and noteworthy aspects of the physical release of Elevation is its size. You will see that it is much, much smaller in stature than your average run-of-the-mill trade hardcover release, which just goes to visually underscore how slim a volume Elevation really is. The book also includes some small illustrations throughout, which is kind of a nice value-added content right there. So that's the first US. I'm going to pass things over to Noah to show the first UK edition of Elevation.
Hello, so today we're going to look at the UK trade editions of Elevation. I'm going to do both of these at the same time because they're the same thing. This was published by Hodder and Stoughton in 2018. This is the standard trade, and this is the purple version. I don't even know why I collect these purple things, the W.H. Smith edition. It's the same thing with a different color jacket and end papers, but basically the W.H. Smith version has purple end papers, whereas the regular trade has blue end papers. It's the same book. Both of them have just a plain old number 1 on the copyright page there to indicate first printing. This Smith one has a little collector's edition notification on the jacket, but otherwise it's the same book. Both have a printed price on the jacket of $14.99. You can see, I don't know how well you can see, but there it is. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. So that's UK Elevation.
And now a word about our sponsor.
For over 20 years, StephenKingCollector.com has been the internet's go-to source for all things Stephen King. From breaking news and real-time sales updates from around the internet, to forums where you can connect with like-minded collectors, to information about first editions as well as highly sought-after and rare limited editions, StephenKingCollector.com has it all. Additionally, the collector sells custom slipcases to protect your most valuable and cherished treasures. The collector now offers book sales directly through the website and an all-around upgraded and improved payment system. With improvements and updates happening on a regular basis, there's always something new to see and experience at StephenKingCollector.com. The link to the site is in the description for this video. You should go check it out. You'll be glad you did. So in 2017, Stephen King and Richard Chizmar collaborated and released Gwendy's Button Box, which was based on the Richard Matheson story Button Button. And then in 2018, Stephen King released Elevation, which, at least in this case, Gwendy's doesn't mention Richard Matheson at all, that I could tell. The book is dedicated to Richard Matheson, thinking of Richard Matheson. And Elevation is based on Matheson's classic short story, The Incredible Shrinking Man, which has been adapted multiple times and is an all-time classic in its own right. So whereas in the Matheson story, The Incredible Shrinking Man, the main character, literally shrinks. He gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And the story very fascinatingly covers the real world implications of what that would actually lead to. And in Elevation, the incredible shrinking man is not getting physically smaller, but yet is still getting lighter, a little bit lighter every day. And in fact, Matheson's main character is called Scott Carey, and Stephen King's main character is also called Scott Carey. So quite an explicit tribute, quite an explicit throwback to the original Matheson story. But in the best Stephen King tradition, he elevates the seemingly mundane slice of life ripped from the headlines of Everytown America with fantastic characters and stellar writing and a truly interesting and inspired idea that ultimately, unlike Matheson's story, which ends on a very, very bleak and pessimistic note, actually has, especially for Stephen King, quite an optimistic and uplifting ending. I do remember before Elevation was published, Stephen King referenced it as a novella, and I was a bit incredulous when it was eventually published to see that on the cover it is listed as a novel. It is teeny, and still has a list price of $19.95. So like in comparison, a book like Holly, hundreds of pages and many, many hours of reading, has a list price of $30. So for 2/3 of that price, you get this. But the book does have some nice touches. The illustrations, the illustrated end papers, the illustrations inside the book itself are pretty nice. It just very clearly, to me, is a novella. And if Stephen King had set it aside for a few years, it could have fit in really nicely with collections like If It Bleeds or You Like It Darker. But instead, it got its own standalone release. And it is what it is. As much as I consider Elevation to be a very minor Stephen King work overall, it might actually be a surprisingly easy entry point for people who are just getting started with Stephen King, or who are curious, or who are a little on the fence about whether or not they want to read his horror stories that he's very well known for, like Pet Sematary, The Shining, It. Elevation is a different type of story altogether. And it's quick, and it builds a whole world and not very many pages, which nobody does like Stephen King. And it's engrossing, it's intriguing, it's thought-provoking, and like I said, ultimately uplifting. It's a pretty fine little book, and if I can get past, still to this day, my incredulity about this being published as a standalone release for $20, I have to admit that there's nothing at all wrong with the story. It's a good story. It's not a classic in the grand scheme of Stephen King's entire published output, but it is pretty good. So let me know in the comments. Have you read Elevation? Did you skip this one? What are your thoughts on Elevation? Do you have any particular feelings about it being released as its own standalone instead of being included in the collection? Let me know what you think. Thanks as always to my friend and collaborator Noah for showing a wonderful book that I don't have in my own collection. Thank you to channel sponsor Thomas over at skcollector.com. Thank you to channel member the Mr. N. Dean for your support. And thank you to you, the viewers and the subscribers, for your support of me and of the channel. It means the world to me. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you later. Bye.